Hey guys, what's up? Jedi here, and today we'll be taking a look at how to survive and dominate an endgame. Specifically, I'll be talking about several key components that every player should honestly know. This video seems like it's meant for the IGLs, but even if you consider yourself a brain-dead fragger, you should still watch it through, because everyone has to play solos alone. So the topics we'll be covering today are layers, staying ahead, wrapping storm, and cutting off. So getting right into it, let's talk about layers. A layer is basically a level of elevation, and it is one of the most important parts of endgame. You'll often hear pros talk about going up or down a layer, or being on a good layer or a bad layer. You might have also heard of the term second height, which is something we're also going to talk about very soon. So first, let's understand why people might switch layers. Basically, you want a layer to yourself. That's not always going to happen, but it is the ideal scenario. And if you have your own layer, you are less likely to get side sprayed, cut off, or pushed. So what can you do in endgame to get your own layer? There are several ways. The passive method is to simply move up or down a few layers to find one that is either free or uncongested. But this can be risky, so here are a few other ways to take control of your layer. The first and super effective method is to cut other teams off. I'm going to go over all the advantages of staying ahead of zone later in this video, but for now, just know that staying ahead can allow you to cut off your opponents. To cut off people contesting your layer, tarp towards and into their intended path. By doing this, you are taking the space they were planning on taking themselves, and they'll be forced to go up or down because they can't go forward anymore. I'm going to play a clip from Arkrim right now, and I want you guys to watch carefully and think about how he uses his positioning to cut off the other team.
Oh, I think you're.
Our wall. Oh, on me. Come to me. We can cut them off.
Something I really like about Arkrim is that he often calls out things he's going to do for the benefit of his teammates, but we can also learn as well because we can hear his thought process. So here he says, let's cut these guys off, basically, and he tarps over and he blocks up their path. You can see that he intentionally moves over a couple tiles, even though he doesn't actually have to, because he's going to take away the space from the other team and make them have to drop down or go up. Not only does Arkrim always focus on cutting off other teams that might be threats on the same layer, but he also takes different paths to cut them off as well. I want you guys to watch this clip carefully.
We need to cut these guys off. Get double.
We need a refresh, by the way.
He's on our wall.
We need a refresh.
Yeah. On our layer. I'm cutting off. I cut them off. We're good.
So Arkrim had a couple different paths he could have tarped into as the IGL, but he felt that taking this one specific path would allow him to choke off the other team, cut them off, and take control of the layer. The reason I'm stressing about cutting other teams off so much is because it's such an underrated yet super important part of endgame, and I want all of you guys to be able to do it. Maybe you're too far from the people you're contesting, or there are too many old builds and you can't cut them off. The other method is to usually hard focus their tarp. This is usually more effective in team modes where one player can stay ahead while the others focus on clearing the layer. Once you put the pressure on, the other team will have to decide if it's worth staying on the layer and getting sprayed or dropping down and not. And if they're not brain dead, they should be off your layer pretty quickly. Now let's quickly talk about second height. It's pretty self-explanatory. You are the highest layer, but you are still under the team on height. And if you find yourself in this situation, you need to quickly assess two things. The first question you need to ask is how good is the height team? And you can know this from the way they are playing height. The other thing you have to figure out maybe with your teammates is whether you have the inventory and loadout to go for height, such as shockwaves and bouncers. So these two things are important factors in a decision you'll have to make very quickly. If you haven't been noticed by height yet, it's only a matter of time, so you need to either go up and take it or drop. This is because staying second height will make you a threat to the height team, who will spend all their ammo to make sure you drop. So if you drop before you get pressured, you can save mats and avoid damage. And of course, if you don't want to drop, well, you can't stay second height, so you'll have to take it from them. I'm not going to talk about taking and maintaining height in this video because there's so much to cover it would be its very own video. So now let's establish the importance of staying ahead. I already mentioned that staying ahead can allow you to cut off teams and control your layer. Basically, staying ahead never hurts. You can't be cut off because you're already where you want to go at all times. A huge plus is that you won't have to storm and shamble players on your back. So consider this situation. You have to box fight a player, but you own the entire box fight map and it's already pre-built. This is the same thing as staying ahead in zone. You can edit on anyone and they can't edit on you because you're the first person who's building in the area. So now you can stay ahead of zone and control your own layer. But even though you do these things, you still find yourself dead with no mats while getting pressured from multiple angles. This might be because you are tarping across the middle of zones. If you watch pro teams, especially ones with really good IGLs, again, Arkrim is a great example to watch. You're always going to notice that they're wrapping around the sides of circles. and often they're using the storm as protection. By hugging the side of a circle, they can only get sprayed from one side, and they can save mats by not even building and covering the other, because no one will be there. Obviously, you want to be careful if you're leaving a side exposed, but in general, this can save a lot of mats and give you much cleaner rotates. If you hug sides of zone, you'll most likely be on the dead side of zone as well, and have a lower risk of getting boxed by other teams. You guys will notice that by combining staying ahead and hugging zone, you're always going to be wrapping pretty much on dead side in the top left or right corner of a zone, which will allow you to get into the new zone very, very easily. And as a plus, your teammates can easily look back and find a ton of angles to get easy kills. If you guys want to learn how to get impact frags and refreshes in endgame, check out my guide in the top right card or check out the link in the description where I've already made a video on that very topic. So, as a recap, in this video, I went over the importance of having your own layer and how to make it happen. We also talked about the huge benefits of staying ahead and how to cut off other teams. And last but not least, we also went over rotating dead side and hugging the storm to save mats. That's it. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, if you enjoyed or learned something, don't forget to leave a like. Subscribe to my channel for more Fortnite competitive tips just like this, and please use code JEDI2X in the Fortnite item shop. Thank you guys, and peace.